Like some people get extremely emotional and crazy, and they are irrational, and they call names and stuff. Those type of people, I personally will not even be friends with, let alone be in a romantic relationship with. So, very early on, getting to know somebody, if they are like that, I just never am around them. I just don't even allow it. That's the first thing I think. You have to find somebody who's reasonable. Then, if it comes to a disagreement between the two of you, there will be some basis of logic and rationality on which to work. And remember, you're not a metaphysical permanent absolute. You can change things, ideas, feelings, impressions, things that make you uncomfortable or sad or angry when they do this or that. Stop and ask yourself if you're pushing yourself apart for no good reason. Maybe you need to not be so angry or mad or sad about this or that or the other. Anything from washing dishes to whether or not they say I love you when they are hanging up the phone or whatever. Lastly, I think I've rung up everything I've got here. Lastly, remember or try to accept or be prepared for the fact that over half of marriages, in America anyway, end in divorce. So I don't know what it is in Eastern Europe, where I believe the person who donated and asked this question was from. I don't know what it's like in Eastern Europe as far as marriage and stuff goes. But in America, over half of them end in failure. So try to put effort into your relationship. Try to know the person. Try to know yourself. Try not to just leave things up to emotion and whim. Try not to just accept the way you've always been. Try to work out what you think is the right way for you to try to be and deal with this relationship. And by all means, if you and the person aren't getting along or whatever, split up. That's what I had to do with that lovely young lady who I actually had to dump 3 times. And it was very difficult for me to not fall back into love with her when she came over the next day with you know, something and just said, do you want to talk? Can we go sit on the grass or whatever? And I say, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And, you know, we're holding each other again in 5 minutes. And it was very difficult for me to I had to push her away. I turned my cell phone off. I wasn't available to talk to her and stuff. I didn't call her, and I kept my phone turned off in case she tried to call me, because I knew I would answer it and tell her to come over and stuff. If you've got to break off a relationship because you don't think it's correct, or you don't think it's going to work in the long run, do it. Somebody said don't quit your old job till you find a new one. I don't know if that's that. You might go through a spell without a boyfriend in the middle, or a girlfriend, or whichever it is. But don't stay in a relationship if you are sure that it's not going to work. I mean, that is the hardest thing in the world, to be saying in the back of your mind constantly, this relationship has to come to an end. This relationship's not going to work. This relationship is doomed. And then to keep going on and going to dinner and stuff and kissing and stuff. It's very, very, very difficult. Once you've decided a relationship's not going to work, get out of it. And remember, it's not the relationship and the way you are metaphysical absolutes. You can change the things that upset you or make you happy and stuff, and so can he or she. It wasn't a video that I would have done just generally popped off the top of my head, but I did have a couple things to say, especially the evolution stuff at the beginning, about the difficulty of love. And I have a couple other videos on my channel dealing with it in some tangential respect. So there we go. Mr. Cropper's advice about love. How unlikely is that? In closing, the person asked, could I give some statements from historical figures or quotes from novels or something about how to deal with love and relationships and stuff? I can't do that. There's probably something in Atlas Shrugged or The Fountainhead, neither of which do I have a copy of. But nothing that pops to my mind is immediately relevant. Every single generation of people has to go through this crap, and they all feel like they're the only ones who have ever felt it before. When they fall in love, they think they're the only ones who have ever had this powerful emotion, and when they have a tragedy or breakup or whatever, or they get dumped, They feel like they're the only ones who have ever had this powerful an emotion. And they try to reach out through writing poems and stuff and reading poems, and it's all a bit tragic. Just remember that there's one thing that evolution intends you to do with the opposite sex. There's one thing it intends you to mate. So, all the rest of it, once the incubation period has started in the woman, all the rest of it for the man and the woman is not quite so important as just that very act of getting the genes passed on. So we all wonder why it is that we don't get along so well, and why are people so difficult to get along with in love relationships and stuff. Because nature doesn't care about that. They just want you to screw. Nature just wants you to screw. It doesn't care if you're happy or sad or have anxiety or you've got a wife but you want these 9 other women that you see every day or whatever. It doesn't care how difficult that is, how emotionally perturbed it makes you. It just wants you to screw. So remember that. Difficult as it ever gets, just say to yourself that there's no easy way through it. It's just a hell of a slugfest, and then you die. So do your best to make it a good relationship. Do your best to make sure you're meeting them halfway or something, as it were. And if they aren't meeting you halfway, if your partner's not meeting you halfway, and if they're not reasonable and rational, dump them. Get rid of them. Get out of there. Go get someone who will make you happy. I keep rambling on. I think that's all I have to say.